ध्यायामोधवलावगुण्ठनवतीं तेजोमयीं नैष्टिकीं स्निग्धापाङ्गविलोकिनीं भगवतीं मन्दस्मितश्रीमुखीं वात्सल्यामृतवर्षिणीं सुमधुरं सङ्कीर्तनालापिनीं श्यामाङ्गीं मधुसिक्तसूक्तम् अमृतानन्दात्मिका ईश्वरी। ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः। ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः। ॐ अमृतेश्वर्यै नमः. So once again, welcome back everyone. Welcome sir. So over to you sir.
Thank you, Ashwati ji, and namaskar to everyone. So today we have a very interesting lecture, which especially has a lot of relevance to the current India-China border. I would say border, or the India-China frontier issue, which is there, or an Indo-Tibet frontier issue, which is now translated into an India-China frontier issue. And so we'll see. It's a very interesting expedition. This is on Budhagupta Vikramaditya's conquest in Tibet. Now, Budhagupta is the forgotten king of Indian history. You will not believe it. There are more than 24 inscriptions on Budhagupta, but there's not a single book. And even where Budhagupta is covered in the history textbooks, when history professors read, Budhagupta just has a few lines in the decline of the Gupta Empire. When the reality is, Budhagupta was a very powerful emperor who revived the Gupta Empire and had his influence spread all across Asia, right? So this is just one of the expeditions of Budhagupta which we'll cover today, which is his conquest in Tibet, which happened around 484, 490 CE, around 1500 years, right? Just to explain, Buddha in Budhagupta is actually from the Navagrahasa. It is not Budhagupta, it's Budhagupta. He took the title of Vikramaditya. There were four Vikramadityas: the Malavesha Vikramaditya Ujjain, the Chandragupta Vikramaditya, Skandagupta Vikramaditya, and Buddhagupta Vikramaditya. After him, also in the Chalukyas and I would say the Western Chalukyas, there were many other Vikramaδιtyas, but till the 5th century, these were the four major Vikramaδιtyas. So let me rightly start into the topic for today. If you look at the pictures which I put in the slide, they are of a region called Dongkha Pass. Okay. Now, where is this Dongkha Pass? This Dongkha Pass is in Sikkim, the state of Sikkim in the present-day Republic of India, in the Sikkim on the Indo-Tibetan border. So, on exactly the border between Bharat and Tibet, you have this Dongkha Pass. On your right-hand side is a picture of the pass photograph, and below is a colonial era painting of this pass. Now, why am I starting with this Dongkha Pass? Because this Dongkha Pass has a very interesting story connected to Budhagupta. And the connection between this Dongkha Pass and Budhagupta is this person called Ribupal. Okay. Before we proceed, geographically, where is this Dongkha Pass situated? So you can see under photograph here. And so if you look at the present map, okay, it is in the northernmost part of Sikkim. That's where Dongkha Pass is. This is the whole North Sikkim area is a very sensitive area, even in the present ongoing the India-China standoff, which began in 2020. So this is where exactly it is located. Okay, over 100 years ago, in a place called Damodarpur in Dakshin Dinajpur district of West Bengal. Okay, it is over. This is the time when the colonial period was there. Okay, 4 copper plates were excavated in this Dakshin Dinajpur district. Okay, now all 4 copper plates, now 3 of these 4 copper plates explicitly mention the emperor as the Gupta emperor Buddhagupta. Sorry, 2 of these mention the Gupta emperor as Buddhagupta. One of these mention it as Kumaragupta. Okay, and one as the a later ruler basically. But the interesting part of these 4 copper plates is 3 of them are also dated in Gupta Samvat. Okay, not just that, the script here is Gupta Brahmi and they represent a land grant. Okay, but what is really interesting is what is contained in the third copper plate. The third copper plate gives actual record of a physical survey, measurements, and geographical markers of Donga Grama, which is none other than the Dongha Pass. Now, what is the story behind a place in West Bengal having a copper plate inscription of a place somewhere in North Sikkim, on the Indo-Tibetan frontier? Okay. For this, we need to understand the story of a striking individual in the 5th century called Ribupal. Now, in the 5th, about 1,500 years ago, in the late 5th century, this Dinajpur was part of a district or Vishya called Koteshwara. Now, this Koteshwara was also a town in that district, and it formed part of the province called Pundravardhan. Pundravardhan is a North Bengal province comprising modern day North Bangladesh, present day northern districts of West Bengal, Cooch Behar, Darjeeling, some parts of western Bhutan, Sikkim, and eastern Nepal. Okay, so this was a district which had nearly 10,000 square kilometers, right? So districts then were very different than districts we have now. Today we have districts which are even 400, 500 square kilometers. This Koteshwara district was a substantially large district. Okay, in this district, in the district headquarters in Koteshwara, there was a 20 something, a very young, hardly in his 20s, a merchant, a Shreshti called Ribupal. Now Ribupal had a very tough life. He lost his parents at a young age, but he came from merchant family. He came from she was a Shreshti. So he built his own merchant enterprise, his own trading networks. He started trading between provinces. He started engaging also in overseas trade. Because of this, he became very popular at a very young age. Even before his marriage happened, he was elected to the Adishta Adhikarana. So what is the Adishta Adhikarana? We have to understand that in the Gupta Empire, the local government was governed by several democratic institutions. So all ancient Indian empires, whether it be Gupta Empire, whether it be the Chola Empire, whether it be Pallava Empire, whether it be Pratihara Empire, had local democratic self-governing institutions at the district and the municipal and the village level, right? So the district headquarters was governed by a Nagara Adishta Adhikarana, which was an elected council of members. Now, in this elected council of members, there was one electorate or one representative who was to come from the Shreshti community. So this Ribupal was so famous that around 484 CE, he was elected as a Nagar Shreshta and became part of this Adishta Adhikar. Now, very good young person, not married, a very eligible bachelor, a very, I would say, enterprising merchant, a self-made man. But that is not all. This Ribupal approached the district collector or district officer of Koteshwara called Ayuktaka Bhandak. Now, if you look at Gupta Empire, how was the administration based? The administration board had a governing council which would take care of the special city-based civic amenities. Could be roads, could be hygiene, could be sanitation, etc. But law and order, military command, all these were under the control of a centrally appointed minister. So it's something like an IAS, so not minister, centrally appointed officer called the Vishayapati or the Ayuktaka. Now, during the time of Budhagupta, there was an additional reform. Because there were a lot of conflicts and land grants between different Adishta Adhikarna. So in the villages, there used to be an under-democratic council called the Ashtakula Adhikarna. Now, Ashtakula Adhikarna and the Adishta Adhikarna used to often have conflicts over lands which are granted, especially in the border areas. So in order to solve this problem, Budhagupta enhanced the powers of the district officer who was centrally appointed. So both the Ayuktaka or the Vishayapati and the councils, the democratic councils, had to jointly sign on any land grant. That was what was the new provision which was brought in. So now this Ribupala went to meet this, who was then the district officer of Koteshwara called Ayuktaka Bhandaka, and told him, I want to build a township in Donga Grama. Now, first his Bhandak thought that maybe it is Donga Grama somewhere in Koteshwar. Maybe it's okay. So he said, okay, where is it? Is it in Nagara? Is it in Koteshwara? Is it in Pundravardhana? Is it in Manga? Is it in Gauda, etc.? So Ribupal said, no. This place which I want to build is for the gods. And this place is exactly 60 yojanas north of here. It is northeast of a Padma Pushkarni, of a lotus lake. It is exactly where the earth, the Prithvi, slopes gently. There's a pass. South of it, there's 11 Kulyavapas, 11 Kulyavapas, around 150 acres of arable land. And southeast of this, there is 6 Kulyavapas, or about 96 acres, 80, 90 acres of flat land. This is in between the Himashikara, between snow-clad peaks, and there are two huge rock formations, Swayambhu formations of our gods, Shvetavaraha Swamin and Kokhamukha Swamin. So Ribupala told this to Bhandak. So Bhandak is very surprised. He said, "No, this is not under my jurisdiction. This is somewhere in the north of the Himalayas, north of Himashikara. So how did you come to me?" Basically, Ribupal said, "No, I have checked the records, and based on these records, I have found that the northern boundary of the Koteshwara Vishaya is not defined. It's undefined. It just says that it has to go in the Himalayas, Himavan, and beyond. So that means instead of getting into red tape, instead of going to the royal court, you are a Vishayapati, you are a Ayuktaka. Why don't you grant permission that I can build something on that?" So now the Bhandak asks second question. Now, how can you build something somewhere? Do you own any land there? So this is where Ribupal makes a very surprising claim that my family has for 2 generations owned land north of the Himashikara, north of the peaks of the Himalayas in this Donga Gram. So what is the backstory behind this? So Bhandak asks, how is this possible? All the story I'm getting from the Damodar plate, the third copper plate. The backstory which Ribupala says comes from the first copper plate. So Ribupala explains to Bhandak what exactly happened 40 years ago. And that is very important to understand what Ribupala is doing now. So exactly 40 years ago, the grandfather of Ribupala, Dritipal, was a very famous Shrishti in Koteshwara. During that time, a very great Mahamunim, a very great Mahaacharya of the Angirasa Gotra, Karpatika Acharya, came to Koteshwara. Now, this great Angirasa Acharya was very disillusioned. He said, "I am now living in a Kali Yuga. I have Agnihotra Samskara, Agnihotra traditions, Agnihotra Dharma. I have to keep the sacred Agni burning in a certain way for certain times in a day. However, this Kali Yuga is so bad that I'm being disturbed every time in doing this task. Secondly, after performing this Agnihotra, I have to do my penance, I have to do my meditation. But nowhere am I getting peace of mind. So can you give me, as per the Nividharma Shastra, an unclaimed, forested, desolate piece of land far away from civilizations where nobody will disturb me?" He then gives the example of the ancient times where, in a time Naimisharanya, the great rishis used to be given lands in forests where they could be in secluded peace. Now it is a very unique situation, right? At that point of time, Dritipala, who was part of the governing council and the district officer, didn't want this Angirasa Brahmana to settle down anywhere in populated areas because he is very temperamental. He may curse, he may give a shrap. So they said, now, as per our records, the northern boundary of Koteshwara is undefined. So Dritipal says, "I will pay money for this Acharya. Tell him to go north, ekdam extreme north of the Himashikara. Go and settle down there and do your penance. Nobody's going to disturb you." Right? Now, a Kirata or a mountain person has also told that it's a sacred place out there. Our Shvetavaraha Swamin and Kokhamukha Swamin have Swayambhu incarnate out there. So it is the most sacred place. There are about 11 Kulyavapas of land which can be divided between these two gods, and on their name, we can give this land to you. So then our Karpatika Acharya agrees with it and he goes. And this is extracted exact translation from the Damodar poor copper inscription. So you can see that the Brahmana named Karpatika says that it behoves on you to make a gift according to Nivi Dharma of untilled and unreclaimed land. And so that he wants to have his Agnihotra rights. So he says this land should be given to me in perpetuity till the moon, the sun, and stars exist. So Donga Grama finds the first mention in this Damodarpur district as a grant given to this Karpatika Acharya. Now, after a few years, we do not hear anything about this Karpatika Acharya. But interestingly, as per the second and third Damodar poor copper plate inscription, before his death, Dritipala reasserted his claim over this Donga Grama. Now, this is a mystery. If this has been given to this great Mahacharya, this great Rishi, then why should Dritipala reclaim this land? There could be four possibilities. Possibility A, a message came that this Rishi had actually passed away, and this since his land was, I would vacant, I had been devoted to the gods, and Dritipala had paid for it. As a guarantor, he stepped forward and took over that land or made claim to a land. B, this this great Angirasa Mahamunim, this great Angirasa Acharya actually came back and told that I don't want this land. That could be a possibility. But then why do we not find any evidence or name of him? Again, that's a mystery. C, it could be that nobody has heard anything of him. So Ditipal thought that why should perhaps there's a possibility of a trade route going north. So why don't I reclaim or re-establish my claim on this? Or fourth, it could just be that because there was nothing heard from this Acharya for a long period of time, this land vested back to the guarantor. Since it was devoted in the name of the gods, right? It was not devoted in the name of a person. So the person who is supporting the gods, who is I think establishing the gods, he could have got this thing land vested. Again, it's a mystery. We don't know exactly how. But what we know is, definitely is before his death, Dritipal re-established his claim over this property. Now, before he died, for whatever reason, maybe because of this episode, and for it could be for whatever reason, Dritipal had this wish that if suppose I build something on this land, it will be only built for spiritual purposes. I am not going to build anything for commercial purposes. This is going to be something like a prayashchit. Now, why? Again, we don't know. But he wanted to build something for spiritual purpose. So Dritipal passed away. His son became a Shreshthi. Unfortunately, his son and his wife and a lot of family members passed away. And his grandson, Ribupala, was orphaned at a young age. But Ribupala now grew up. So now we come to a fast forward to 484 CE. Ribupala has grown up. But Ribupala always in his childhood heard of the stories of this Donga Gram. Right? So Ribupala started doing a lot of what we call today as research on his family history. Where is his Donga Grama? Now, nobody in the Pal family, nobody in that city had ever visited this place. So honestly, they just knew that, okay, there's a place out there and we are making a claim. But nobody had physically visited the place, right? So the first question was how to reach that place. Now, from Dinajpur in Bengal, if you have to, go, you have to pass via Darjeeling, pass via Sikkim, go to Dongkha Pass. How do you go to that place, right? So then Ribupal started doing a lot of research, and then he makes a lot of geographical indicators, which is what I also mentioned earlier. So he exactly gets to know how many Kulya pass, how many area of land is there, how much of it is flat land, where is the pass, where is the Lotus Lake, where are the Himashik, the mighty peaks, where are the two Swayambhu rocks. So he gets all this information out, and he goes to the Ayuktaka saying, I have 11 Kulya in my name. Give me under 6. Okay. So give me totally about 250 acres of land. I want to build 2 temples, 2 Bandar Graha or 2 storehouses. I want to cultivate that land, make the arable land grow some crops, and rest houses for pilgrims who come there. Also houses for the priests and the farmers. So I want to effectively build a 270 or 250 or 270 acre mini township, village, whatever you call it, but dedicated to the gods out there. This is Ribupal's wish. Now people say that you're mad. Nobody has gone there. Who will go there? Now the Ayuktaka himself says we don't even know if our administration extends out there. Mostly the administration ends in the foothills. Now to in fact to get to establish and build a place there, you first need to establish administrative control. To establish administrative control, you first need to launch a military conquest. Now God knows what kind of people, what will we encounter there. We know that the gods live there. We know that our Mahadev's Kailash is further north into the Bhuta Rashtra. But physically to go there as an administration is a different ball game altogether, right? So now Ribupala has his dream. He wants to not only physically go and visit that Himalayan paradise of his, or the Himalayan sacred Himalayan, I would say, the divine Tirtha Kshetra of his, but he also wants to build a mini township dedicated to the gods out there. Will he be able to do it? Right? Now, fortunately for him, he lived during the reign of a mighty Gupta emperor called Budhagupta. Now, Budhagupta ascended the throne around 157 Gupta Samvat or 476 CE. Now, Budhagupta came at a time when the Gupta Empire was in great crisis. Now, For 10 years after the death of the great Skandagupta, there was virtually chaos and an economic crisis which had come all across Bharatvarsh because of the huge civil war and political confusion which happened in the Gupta Empire. Budhagupta, who was a nephew of Skandagupta and also the great grandson of Chandragupta Vikramditya, he ascended the throne backed by certain factions of the court and started stabilizing the situation. He started bringing peace to the empire. He started spreading his administration all across. And again, all across the Gupta Empire in Bharat, he started establishing peace. Okay. So this Buddhagupta Vikramaditya at that time was ruling in Patliputra. So this Ayukta Bhandaka decided to send a proposal directly to Patliputra saying that because in order to go to Donka Grama, in order to cross the Himalayas, we need a military force. So Buddhagupta Vikramaditya a proposal was sent.